There are several things I'd like to share with you today. One is an opinion, because I took note of the announcement by the Dutch government appointing Chris Johnson, a Windward Islander, the son of the well-known Will Johnson, as the Dutch representative in Philipsburg, St. Maarten, replacing Mr. Gert Versluys, who will be leaving this post shortly. I want to be the first to publicly congratulate Chris Johnson with his appointment to this position, but I also want to congratulate Mr. Plasterk and the cabinet of the Dutch government for making this choice and to appoint Chris Johnson, a Windward Islander, into the position of the Dutch representative in Philipsburg, St. Maarten. This is a good gesture and a good start, but it should not end here. It should not end here, because contrary to all of the islands in the region, there are too many institutions on St. Maarten where you search in vain for evidence that these institutions are truly St. Maarten institutions when you look at the people who work and manage these institutions. If we look at the prosecutor's department, for instance, you cannot find one Windward Islander in the prosecution department functioning as a prosecutor. If we look at a court, the Court of First Instance and the Court of Appeal, you cannot find one Windward Islander sitting on the bench. But it doesn't end there. It's a cancer. It's a cancer that perpetuates almost everywhere. If we take our main industry, tourism, and we look at all of the major hotels, and we're in tourism since 1962, we don't have one local manager running any major hotel. How come? Why is this? If we look at government-owned companies like the airport, the harbor, KLM, you get a different image. GBE, there you come and you get the feeling that this is a local institution, it's being run by locals. How come it's possible in these government-owned companies, but it's not possible in the other institutions and hotels that I mentioned? It can't be that there are certain positions on St. Maarten that's available to some people, but boys and girls in St. Peter's who have the constitutional right to occupy and dream of occupying any position that they can think of or desire, that the message that is being sent to them is, so far and no more. You can be this, you can be that, you can be the other, but you can't be a hotel manager. You can't be a prosecutor. You can't be a judge. What kind of message are we sending to our youth, to our people in general? And then when we look at the neighboring islands, you see a complete different picture. What's wrong with us? Why are we different to them? I'll tell you why. Somebody didn't make a plan. Somebody intentionally is excluding locals from certain positions. Now they will say, yeah, we want to. Everybody's sure of. No, it's your economy, it's your country, it's your island. Yeah, we want. But then they sit back. Well, no prosecutor is going to show up at your door and say, hey, today I want to be a prosecutor. No judge is going to come knocking on the judge and say, okay, now I want to be a judge. You're a local person? You want to be a judge? Yeah. Nobody is going to show up and say, I want to be a hotel manager, let you come say. It is something that has to be nurtured. It is something that has to be planned. It has to be a goal that we set, and everybody, government, as well as these institutions, have the obligation to nurture the people and create and produce the people that's going to occupy these positions. And they're not doing that, and that's why we look different than St. Kitts, Dominica, and everywhere else. That has to stop. It's the 21st century, and my interest in this is more than only the fact that we need to set the example and show the possibilities that's available to every boy and child on this island, that there's no position that they can be excluded from. But more importantly, it has to do with wealth. We have to stop using St. Martin as a garbage bin. We have to stop this revolving door of money coming in and being taken out at extreme levels, because the people who you employ for 2, 3 years or 4 years here amass the monies they make here, and then they leave with it as opposed to investing it here. If we had locals in those positions, they will think about buying a piece of land, but buying a house. They would think about permanency. They would not be thinking about slam, bam, thank you, man, St. Martin, you were good to me, I'm gone, and I'm going to take your money and I'm going to invest it someplace else. That affects your budget, and that affects your ability to build wealth, and that affects your ability to provide services that the people of this country badly needs. So it has to stop. I would like to see it stop by dialogue and evolution, smoothly. But if it's not, then we shouldn't avoid revolution to stop it, because it goes to the core of our economic existence. I'm calling upon all hotels, all the institutions that I mentioned, please nurture prospective locals to break through to the managerial positions in your institutions, so they too can participate in this economy, learn the ropes, because that's the best for St. Martin. That's the best for the future. And that's the best investment you could make. Do it voluntarily. Do it through dialogue. Plan it that it could be done in 4 years' time. If not, in your interest and everybody's interest, I'm saying to you, if it doesn't come by evolution, it will, believe you me, come through revolution. And there are historic experiences of that. Time for change. I'd also like to share with you that the IMF was here last week, and that they have issued their conclusions on St. Martin. They've confirmed that we had a growth last year of 0.5%. They project that we will have a growth this year of 0.7%. And they project the growth for 2017 will be 1.7%. I want to alert you that there is a global slowdown. If you look at the chart going backward for the last 10, 15 years, you can see that countries enjoyed a GDP growth of 6, 7%, and it's steadily, including the United States, it's declining, And now today, you have an average global growth of 2.7 to 3%. St. Martin also years ago had growth of 4 to 5%, and that too is declining. A combination of steps will have to be taken to be able to withstand this global recession that seems to be coming, so that we can outlive it without too much shocks. Generally, the meeting with the IMF was pleasant, was good. They were pleasantly surprised that we're doing moderately well. They made some suggestions, and those suggestions and their total report is on the website of the IMF. You have access to it if you want to read it. I also want to mention to you that last week I attended on behalf of the Prime Minister the ICLAC meeting in Mexico City. ICLAC is one of the 5 committees of the United Nations for the region, and it concerns itself with economic development, sustained development of countries in Latin America and the Caribbean. It was a very, very interesting, fruitful meeting, and I've asked my staff to prepare a town hall meeting so that the issues discussed during this ICLAC meeting can be shared directly with the public at large. Normally these things are discussed, information obtained, they're shared with the Council of Ministers or with Parliament, and it does not filter down sufficiently to the public at large for them to be aware of worldwide development and developments in the Caribbean. So I'm going to organize a town hall meeting and have an open discussion, providing the information that I gathered at the ICLAC convention. And it's important that the information is shared and embraced, because if we are going to change, that change has to be embraced by the public at large, and if it is, then politicians will make the changes. So it's not top down, but I'm trying to do it down up. If, for instance, as was discussed at the ICLAC meeting, 1%, less than 1%, in fact, 62 persons in the whole world, 62 persons in the whole world own and control 50% of the assets of the whole world, and the rest of the world have the remaining 50%, you know we have a problem. That information might shock you, but as a result of this, you're getting this global slowdown, that goods that are being produced are not being bought worldwide because the money to buy it is in the pockets of those 62 people. You see? So what you're seeing is trade is reducing slowly but surely. Fascinating information. Information that has to reach the grassroots so that decisions can be made to support how we are going to go forward to maintain the standard of living that we enjoy now.
It's been exactly 2 months now since the new contracts for the solid waste went into effect. I would like to give an update on those issues. As in the transitional phase, there was some hiccups, some issues, and I just want to bring everyone up to date with those issues. As government, and especially the Ministry of Romy, we are here to serve. I want to make that crystal clear. We are here to serve the people of St. Martin, and we took and we are still taking steps to ensure that improvements are made in terms of the service we provide as it relates to the collection of solid waste. I had indicated in the beginning that there was 3 parcels that we was experiencing some difficulties. Parcel 1, the Phillipsburg area. Parcel 5 and 6, that is the Cul-de-sac Basin, Cahill Bush Road area. As it concerns Parcel 1, we have found a solution for that area, the Phillipsburg area. But in Parcel 5 and 6, the service that is being provided is still not up to par, is still not where we would want it to be. At the end of the day, the contractors are, the responsibility is government's, and we are outsourcing that service to those contractors, and we expect a certain level of service. In the meantime, I must say that progress has been made in Parcel 5 and 6. For example, a new manager to oversee operations has been hired. But on a daily, no, I wouldn't say on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, I still receive some complaints. And to that effect, we have scheduled a meeting tomorrow with all the haulers where we would sit and discuss the progress over the last 2 months. We will also indicate to them what is expected in terms of the contract that was issued, and by the reports that the ministry will be providing on a monthly basis, if it's not in accordance to what is indicated in the contracts, the penalties that will be issued to the different contractors. Also, the garbage collection schedules for the different parcels. We received some schedules, but it was not formatted in a way that we could publish them. So we are working on that now, that those things could be provided via the different media outlets to the public, that the public know exactly when the garbage collection schedules are. And we will also be providing a email address that people could send their complaints, and that we could deal with that in an efficient manner. Moving over to the district cleaning contracts. On April 25th, the information session was held for the district cleaning 2016-2018. On May 12th, we received the bids for the district cleaning. A total of 38 companies submitted bids for the 13 parcels. So in that respect, I would say it was a success. We had a lot of new companies participated and had the opportunity to provide a bid for one of the 13 parcels. At the moment, the evaluation has been completed, and I expect by the end of this week to receive a draft advice from the ministry on who will be awarded the contracts for the different parcels, and that will be presented to the Council of Ministers for approval. In the interim, I have indicated to the ministry that we do assessment of the different main roads, and that we contract several companies then to do a general cleanup in the meantime, because I expect that the new contracts by the 1st of July will be awarded. So in the interim, we will make provisions to do a general cleanup. The landfill also has to do with solid waste collection. I have indicated that we will start a recycling program. In the meantime, we have had meetings with different stakeholders. I will be traveling to the US next week to attend a waste expo and looking at ways where we could, and the intention is to purchase recycling bins, to start a public campaign. We receive a lot of complaints about the landfill and so forth. Now is the opportunity for everyone to play their part in resolving this solution. In the interim, before waste to energy is established, I think we could reduce the land mass, the garbage that is being disposed on the landfill by 40%. So the initiative, we already spoke with different stakeholders. We will provide recycling bins in all the districts, in all public facilities, public areas, in all schools. Recycling bins will be placed. We will start a public relation campaign, and that is everyone's opportunity now to contribute in reducing that hill in the middle of Phillipsburg. So in concluding, I also approached SOAB to do a review also of the terms of reference for the landfill management. We're going to look at ways to make it clear for the contractor as well as the principal government. For example, if there is an emergency on the landfill, these are the steps to be taken, and this is the period where we would want whatever situation there contained. So we're making it more transparent for both us and for the contractor on the landfill. So right now I have approached SOAB, and they are making a proposal on the way moving forward, and that any calamity, any situation on the landfill, that it's clear to everyone, these are the steps to be taken within this time. We expect the situation to be contained.
There is little time left, so I shall try and rush through some brief remarks. Just a reminder, today is June 1st, and it's the start of the hurricane season. We want to remind everybody to be prepared, to be vigilant, and to follow the news. This is one time of the year that we don't want to just follow the international news. We need to keep in tune with what is being broadcast locally. We were discussing this week, for instance, the developments leading up to Hurricane Luis in 1995, where it was a busy season, and we received an advisory that a hurricane was coming, and nothing came. We received a second warning that a storm was on its way, and it didn't affect St. Martin, and it's about the third or the fourth one. People kind of shrug their shoulders, oh, well, this one ain't coming either. And by the time they realized it was up on us, it was such a major storm that a lot of people, even if we had been very well prepared, how prepared could we have really been for Luis? But the point that I'm trying to make here is that we need to be prepared. We need to listen to the advisories, we need to follow, we need to be vigilant. The hurricane season is not the favorite season of the year at all, but it is a realistic one. Just like we prepare for Christmas, we prepare for Carnival, we prepare for Easter and Easter Monday, we should be at all times every year prepared for the hurricane season. Tomorrow, I will be departing for Cuba. I will be joining the support staff from the ministry that is there already. Because of the way COPA not operates, but their flight schedule, it was difficult to get a connecting flight. However, I am leaving instead of yesterday when the delegation left. I'm leaving tomorrow morning, and I will be attending the 7th Summit of the Association of Caribbean States, and it's the summit of the heads of states. The Association of Caribbean States was established, I think it was in 1994, and there are some 28 member states, countries, and territories that are part of this organization. And if all goes well, I will be signing the Declaration of Havana on behalf of St. Martin, representing the kingdom or kingdom partners that would be there. The Prime Minister of the Dutch, of the Netherlands, Mr. Mark Rutte, will be there as well as the Prime Ministers of Curacao, Aruba, and of course myself, the Prime Minister of St. Martin. Because of time constraint and other scheduled events this morning as well, I would issue a separate release on this matter. On a quick note as well, just an update, we received yesterday the approval from the EU, from the committee, the European Union Committee, the Commission, that the tender documents for the Dutch Quarter sewage project has been, they have been approved, and now the project can go on public bid. We have had, not too long ago, a successful town hall meeting in Dutch Quarter to continue to inform the residents there. We have told them back then that, it's been some time that this project has been in discussion, but it's the first time that we have actually gotten to this point where we can guarantee that the project will be carried out. So the tender documents have been prepared and they have now been approved by the EU Commission, and that means now that the project can go on public bid. Because it's a EU-funded project, it will be opened also for contractors throughout the region that is associated to the EU, but also to the EU member states. It would be unusual, let's say, because of the nature and the scope of work that, let's say, a contractor from Paris or from the Netherlands would sign in. But you may be well aware that the contractor that won, the company that won the bid to prepare the tender documents is a company, Ilaco, that is established in Suriname. Years ago, they had a branch in the Netherlands, Antilles, and in St. Martin. But that's the company that actually won that bid. But we feel quite confident that not too many, if any, companies from abroad, because of the scope of the work and the kind of work that it is. But we are happy that we have reached this stage of the project again. It's another milestone. But because of it being an EU project funded by the European Union and the processes that they follow, we think that the estimated time for us to sign a contract with a contractor to actually execute the work would be in the first week of December. Around the 5th of December is now the target that the project will be signed off on, and that the Dutch Quarter community can see the start of the project that they have been long awaiting.